The rain hammered Seoul's alleyways like bullets against stone. Jinwoo's Mercedes idled in the shadows of Gangnam's underworld, engine purring as he watched his men drag a body into the darkness, blood mixed with rainwater, swirling toward the gutter in crimson spirals. This was his kingdom, brutal, efficient, untouchable. Then he saw her. A woman stumbled into the mouth of the alley, clutching her side. Even in the neon-streaked darkness, he could see the dark bloom spreading across her white blouse. She collapsed against the wet brick wall, sliding down like a broken marionette. His instinct screamed walk away. Witnesses were liabilities, and this woman was clearly law enforcement by the way she tried to reach for her hip holster before her legs gave out. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the defiant tilt of her chin, even as consciousness flickered in her eyes. Maybe it was how young she looked, younger than the cops he usually dealt with. Or maybe it was something else entirely, something he couldn't name yet. Jinwoo stepped from the car, his men tensed, hands moving to concealed weapons, but he waved them off. He approached her slowly, his expensive shoes splashing through puddles. When he knelt beside her, she tried to focus on his face, tried to speak. "Don't," he said quietly, pressing his hand against her wound. Her blood was warm against his palm. "You're losing too much blood." Her eyes met his, dark, fierce, terrified, and then rolled back. As he lifted her into his arms, her jacket fell open. That's when he saw it. The badge. Silver. Government issued. Seoul Metropolitan Police. Badge number 01587. Jinwoo's world stopped. The rain, the blood, the danger, everything dissolved into a single impossible truth. That number was seared into his memory like a brand. He'd searched for it across 15 years, through countless databases, bribes, and dead ends. It was her number, his sister's number. The badge their father had given her on her 13th birthday, weeks before the massacre that destroyed everything. His hands trembled as he held the unconscious detective closer. This woman, this stranger bleeding in his arms, was wearing his dead sister's badge. But how and why? Like, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from and what time it is right now. We love seeing our global family tuning in. What would you have done if this happened to you? Tell us in the comments. 24 hours earlier, Detective Kang Min-ah had been untouchable. She'd stood in the precinct's briefing room, arms crossed, as her captain warned her off the Cheonsepa case, the Angel faction, Seoul's most dangerous organized crime syndicate. "You're too green for this, Kang," Captain So had said, his face lined with concern. "These aren't street thugs. Cheonsepa has connections everywhere. Judges, politicians, even here." But Min-ah couldn't let it go. 3 murdered informants in 2 weeks, all connected to human trafficking rings. All silenced before they could testify. She joined the force to protect people, not to file paperwork while monsters walked free. She thought of the photograph on her apartment dresser. Her and her adoptive parents on graduation day from the police academy. They'd given her everything after finding her wandering the streets at 13, traumatized and alone, with no memory of her life before. The doctors called it dissociative amnesia. Her parents called it a miracle that she'd survived at all. The only thing she'd had was a police badge clutched in her small fist. Badge number 041587. The psychiatrist said she'd probably taken it from a crime scene during whatever trauma she'd endured. Her adoptive father, a retired detective himself, had pulled strings to let her keep it. Sometimes, he'd told her gently, we hold on to things because they're the only proof we existed before the darkness. She'd made that badge mean something, earned her own detective shield, vowed to be the kind of cop who actually saved people. Now, as Jinwoo carried her unconscious body through his penthouse's private entrance, that vow seemed like a child's fantasy. Min-ah didn't know she was entering the domain of the very monster she'd been hunting. Didn't know that the man who'd ordered those 3 informants killed was now laying her on his 1,000-thread count sheets, his jaw tight with an emotion that looked almost like anguish. Jinwoo stared at her pale face as his private doctor worked to stabilize her. 15 years. 15 years since the Gwangju massacre, when a rival syndicate had slaughtered his entire family. His father, mother, uncles, all executed in their own home. And his little sister, Seo-yeon, just 13 years old, had vanished into the night. He'd assumed she was dead, prayed she was dead, because the alternative, that she'd been taken, sold, broken, was unbearable. But this badge, this impossible badge, could she really be Seo Yon? Minna woke to silk sheets and the smell of antiseptic mixed with expensive cologne. Her side throbbed with a deep, medicinal ache, stitched and bandaged. Panic flared. She tried to sit up, but a firm hand pressed her shoulder back down. "Don't move. You'll tear the sutures." The voice was low, controlled, dangerous. Minna's training kicked in. Assess the threat, find the exit, survive. She turned her head and froze. The man sitting beside the bed was devastatingly handsome, in a way that screamed danger. Sharp jawline, intense dark eyes that studied her like she was a puzzle he was determined to solve. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing forearms corded with muscle and marked with faint scars. A silver watch caught the light. Patek Philippe. Easily worth more than her annual salary. "Who are you?" Her voice came out hoarse. "Someone who saved your life." He leaned back, his gaze never leaving her face. "You were ambushed, stabbed twice, left to bleed out in an alley. Do you remember?" Fragments came back. She'd been following a lead on a Cheon Sapa lieutenant, had gotten too close. The attack came from behind, fast, professional. She'd fought back, but there were too many. "My badge," she said suddenly, her hand moving to her jacket. "Where's my—" "Here." Jinwoo held it up, and Minna's heart lurched. The silver caught the low light of his penthouse. He was studying it with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "This badge, where did you get it?" The question was casual, but something underneath it wasn't. Something razor-sharp and barely controlled. "It's mine," she said carefully, defensive instincts rising. "Why?" The number. His thumb traced over the engraved digits. 41587. "This badge is over 15 years old. You're what, 27? 28? You couldn't have been issued this as a rookie." Minna's mouth went dry. How did he know that? Who was this man? "I was adopted," she heard herself say, unsure why she was telling this stranger anything. "I had it when they found me. My father let me keep it. It's all I have from before." Something flickered across his face. Shock, pain, hope. Gone so quickly she almost missed it. When he spoke again, his voice was rougher. "Before what?" "Before I lost my memory. I don't remember anything before I was 13. She met his eyes, saw something there that made her breath catch. "Now tell me who you are. And why a man who can afford a penthouse like this is saving bleeding detectives in alleyways." Jin Woo stood, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, the city he controlled through fear and blood money. When he turned back, his expression was unreadable. "My name is Park Jin-woo," he said quietly, "and that badge belonged to my sister. She disappeared 15 years ago. I watched her run from our house the night our entire family was murdered. She was 13 years old." The room tilted. Mina stared at him, her mind racing, refusing to accept what he was suggesting. "That's impossible." "Is it?" He moved closer, and she could see the resemblance now. Something in the shape of his eyes, the set of his jaw. "You have no memory. You were found at 13. You were clutching a badge that shouldn't exist." His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Tell me, detective, do you have any scars? Old ones, from before you were found?" Minna's hand moved involuntarily to her left shoulder blade, where a jagged scar had always lived. The doctors said it looked like a knife wound. She'd never known how she got it. Jinwoo saw the gesture. His eyes closed briefly, as if in prayer or pain. "You got that scar," he said, "trying to protect our mother. You jumped in front of the blade. You were so brave, so stupid." His voice cracked. "And then you ran, and I couldn't find you. I've been searching for 15 years, Seo-yeon." "My name is Min-ah," she whispered, but her voice shook. "Your name is Park Seo-yeon, and I'm your brother." Min-ah spent 3 days in Jin-woo's penthouse, and with each passing hour the walls of her carefully constructed life began to crack. He didn't force her to believe him. Instead, he showed her. Photographs first, a family portrait taken months before the massacre. A stern but kind-looking man in a traditional hanbok, a beautiful woman with gentle eyes. And between them, Two children, a teenage boy with that same intense gaze, and a girl with Minna's exact smile, her exact eyes, wearing the badge around her neck like a medal. Father gave it to you early, Jinwoo explained, his voice distant with memory. Said you were born to protect people, that you had a hero's heart. He paused. He was right. Minna's hands trembled as she held the photograph. The girl's face was hers, but younger, unmarked by the years of searching for an identity she'd lost. I don't remember any of this. Trauma can do that. The mind protects itself. Jinwoo handed her another photo, the two of them as children, him teaching her taekwondo in their family's dojang. You were relentless, never gave up. Even when I knocked you down, you'd get back up smiling. Something flickered in Minna's chest. Not quite memory, but an echo of one. The ghost of a feeling. Safety, belonging, home. Then Jinwoo's phone buzzed. His expression hardened as he read the message. When he looked up, the warmth had vanished, or replaced by the cold authority of a man who ruled through fear. I need to handle something. Stay here. Don't leave this floor. I'm not your prisoner, Minna said, standing despite the protest in her healing wound. And you still haven't told me what you do, how you have this kind of money, this kind of security. She gestured to the armed guards she'd glimpsed in the hallways. Who are you really, Jinwoo? His jaw tightened. Someone trying to keep you safe. From what? From the truth you're not ready to hear. He left before she could press further. But Minna was a detective. Investigating was in her blood. Whether that blood belonged to the Kang family who raised her or the Park family she couldn't remember. She found his study unlocked. Inside, the luxury ended and something darker began. Filing cabinets filled with coded ledgers. A wall of monitors showing security feeds from clubs, warehouses, docks. And on his desk, a folder marked with the Cheonsa Pa symbol, the same organization she'd been investigating. Her blood turned to ice as she opened it. Financial records, protection rackets, shipping manifests for imports that were clearly human trafficking operations. And at the bottom, execution orders. 3 names she recognized. The 3 murdered informants, all signed with Jinwoo's seal. The folder slipped from her numb fingers. Her brother, if he truly was her brother, wasn't just connected to Cheonsa Pa. He was Cheonsa Pa. He was the angel of death she'd been hunting. The man who'd saved her life was the monster responsible for countless others' deaths. Minna heard footsteps in the hall. Jinwoo returning. Her hand moved instinctively to her hip, but her gun was gone, confiscated when she'd arrived. She was unarmed in a killer's home. And worse, her heart was screaming that this killer might actually be her family. The door opened. Jinwoo stood in the threshold, and his eyes moved from her face to the scattered papers on the floor. Understanding dawned in his expression, followed by something that looked like resignation. So now you know, he said quietly. Now you know what your brother became? Minna's voice shook with fury and heartbreak. You're a murderer. You traffic in human lives. Those 3 informants. They had families. They had children. They had prices, Jinwoo said coldly. Then his mask cracked. You think I wanted this? After that night, after losing everything, I had 2 choices. Die or become strong enough that no one could ever hurt my family again. His voice dropped. I chose wrong. I became the very thing that destroyed us. Then turn yourself in. End this. I can't. He stepped closer, desperate now. Because the people who killed our family, they're still out there. Still powerful. And the only reason they haven't come for you, the only reason you've survived these 15 years is because they think Seo Yan died that night. His eyes burned into hers. If I fall, if Cheonsa Pa falls, you become a target again. You're the last witness to the Gwangju massacre. They'll kill you to bury the truth. Minna's world tilted. What truth? Jinwoo's phone buzzed again. Insistent, urgent. He glanced at it, and his face went pale. No, he breathed. No, not now. What is it? He looked at her with eyes full of terrible knowledge. Your captain, Captain Seo, he just ordered a raid on this building. Jinwoo's voice was hollow. He's coming for you, Seo Yan, and he's the one who ordered our family's execution 15 years ago. The world stopped spinning. started spinning the other way. That's insane, Minna whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. Captain Seo has been a cop for 30 years. He mentored my father. He gave me my first case assignment. He was on the Namsan task force, Jinwoo interrupted, pulling up files on his computer with sharp, angry keystrokes. The elite unit that was supposed to dismantle organized crime in the early 2000s. But they were corrupt. They didn't take down syndicates. They controlled them, decided who operated and who disappeared. Images flooded the screen. Police reports, bank transfers, surveillance photos from 15 years ago showing a younger Captain SCO meeting with men in expensive suits. Men Minna now recognized from Jinwoo's organization charts as rival syndicate leaders. Our father wouldn't play along, Jinwoo continued, his voice tight with old rage. Park Dae-jung ran the docks honestly, refused bribes, started investigating police corruption, so Seo and his task force made an example of him, of all of us. Minna's legs gave out. She sank into Jinwoo's desk chair, her mind racing through every interaction with Captain Seo. His kindness, his protective concern, the way he'd warned her off the Cheon Sapa case. You're too green for this, Kang. Not protection, containment. Why didn't he kill me then? She asked hollowly. If I was a witness. You were 13, traumatized, memory gone. He probably thought you were neutralized. Jinwoo crouched beside her chair, forcing her to meet his eyes. But then you became a cop, started investigating the cases he'd buried, got too close to the truth, so he sent you into that ambush. The room spun. The tip about the Cheon Sapa lieutenant. That came from his office. It was a trap. He expected you to die in that alley. Jinwoo's hand covered hers. Warm, solid, real. But I found you first. Minna pulled away, standing abruptly. Her wounds screamed in protest. But physical pain was easier to process than this. So what now? You expect me to just… What? Join you? Become a criminal because the man who raised me is worse? I expect you to survive. Jinwoo stood too, and she saw fear in his eyes. Real human fear beneath the crime lord exterior. SEO knows you're here. He's coming with a full tactical unit. If they take you, you'll never make it to the station. You'll die in transit. Another tragic casualty of gang violence. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Minna's mind raced through impossible calculations. Trust the brother she didn't remember, who killed people for a living. Or trust the captain who'd shaped her entire career, who might have murdered her family. Jinwoo's phone lit up with security feeds. Black SUVs surrounded the building, armed tactical officers taking positions. And there, stepping out of the lead vehicle, was Captain Seo, his face grim, determined, wearing the expression of a man about to finish what he started 15 years ago. Last chance, Seo-yeon, Jinwoo said softly. You can walk out there and die believing in the system that betrayed you, or you can trust me, trust your blood, and let me protect you the only way I know how. Minna looked at the badge in her hand, 01587, her father's gift, her talisman, the only piece of a life she couldn't remember, a life that had been stolen by the man now coming to kill her. She made her decision. Tell me the plan, she said quietly. Brother. Something broke open in Jinwoo's expression. Relief, pain, desperate hope. For just a moment, he wasn't the angel of death. He was just a man who'd found his lost sister. Then the penthouse's front door exploded inward. Captain Seo's voice boomed through a megaphone. Park Jinwoo, release the hostage and surrender. Detective Kang, if you can hear me, we're here to save you. Minna met Jinwoo's eyes across the chaos of alarms and shouting. In that look, they shared an entire conversation, a lifetime of questions, a choice that would define everything that came next. Save me, Minna whispered bitterly. She raised her voice, shouting toward the destroyed entrance. I'm not a hostage, Captain. The tactical team froze. Through the smoke and debris, Captain Seo appeared, his face a mask of false concern that Minna could now see through like glass. Minna, you're confused, traumatized. This man is a murderer. Minna stepped forward and Jinwoo moved with her, a united front. Like you. Tell me, Captain, What really happened in Guangzhou 15 years ago? To the Park family. Sio's expression flickered, just for a second, but it was enough. Stand down, detective. That's an order. I don't take orders from the man who killed my family. Did you see that twist coming? Comment yes or no below. Everything happened in seconds that felt like hours. Captain Seo's face transformed from false concern to cold calculation. He raised his hand and the tactical team's weapons snapped up, not toward Jin Woo, but toward Minna. I gave you a chance, Seo said quietly, his voice carrying across the destroyed penthouse. I tried to let you die cleanly, but you just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Just like your father. Jin Woo moved to shield her, but Minna caught his arm. Don't. If you fight, they'll kill you. If I don't fight, they'll kill you. Then we both die here. Her voice cracked. I just found you. I can't lose you again. The tactical team advanced. Red laser sights painted their chests like target markers. Jin Woo's men were outmaneuvered, outgunned. They'd been prepared for a raid, not for the realization that the entire Seoul Metropolitan Police was complicit. SEO stepped closer, his weapon trained on Minna's heart. You were supposed to stay buried, a nameless orphan who never asked questions. But you had to be a hero, didn't you? Had to honor that badge. He laughed bitterly. Your father's sentimentality. It killed him too. Why? Minna's voice was barely a whisper. Why did you do it? Because Park Dae-jung thought honor meant more than survival. He was going to expose us, destroy careers, send good men to prison. For what? Some fantasy of justice? Seo shook his head. I did what was necessary. I always have. Jin Woo's hand tightened on Minna's. She felt him calculating angles, odds, desperate plays. But there were none. They were trapped. I'm sorry, Jin Woo whispered against her hair. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you then. I'm sorry I became a monster trying to find you. I'm sorry. Don't. Minna turned to face him, and for the first time since waking in his penthouse, she let herself really see him. Not the crime lord, not the stranger, but the brother who'd spent 15 years searching. Who'd built an empire of darkness just to have the power to keep her safe if he ever found her again. Who loved her enough to die for her right now? She pressed her forehead to his. I remember something, she whispered. Just now, a boy teaching me to fight, telling me that heroes get back up, that we don't quit. Tears streamed down her face. Was that you? Jin Woo's breath hitched. Every time I was always there. Then don't quit now. Seo's voice cut through their moment like a blade. Enough. On your knees. Both of you. They didn't move. Minna felt Jin Woo's muscles coil, felt her own body prepare for a fight they couldn't win. If these were their last moments, they'd face them standing? The tactical team closed in. SEO raised his weapon, his finger moving to the trigger. Then the lights went out. The entire building plunged into darkness, not just loss of power, but complete blackout. Emergency systems failed. The tactical team's night vision flickered and died. Chaos erupted in the pitch black as officers shouted, boots scrambled, weapons discharged blindly. Jin Woo grabbed Minna's hand and pulled her through the darkness with the certainty of someone who knew every inch of his domain. They ran through corridors only he could navigate by memory, his grip the only solid thing in a world gone black. Behind them, Seo's voice roared with fury. Find them! Lock down every exit! They don't leave this building alive! They burst through a hidden door into a service stairwell. Emergency lighting flickered here. Battery-powered, independent. Jin Woo didn't stop, pulling her down flight after flight, their footsteps echoing like drum beats. What happened? Minna gasped. Fail-safe. If I'm ever compromised, my second-in-command kills all power. Jin Woo's voice was grim. But it only buys us minutes. SEO has the building surrounded. They reached the underground garage. Jin Woo's men had cars waiting, engines running, but as they approached, headlights blazed to life from all directions. More tactical vehicles, more officers. They were boxed in. Jin Woo's second-in-command, a scarred man named Kang Dae, stepped from the shadows. His face was grave. Boss, there's no way out. They have snipers on every building. Air support inbound. If you run, they'll shoot you down. Then we fight. Jinwoo's voice was steel. You'll die. I've been dead for 15 years. I just didn't know it yet. He looked at Mina, and his expression softened. But she lives. No matter what. Mina's heart shattered. No, no, I'm not losing you again. There has to be another way. There isn't. Jinwoo cupped her face in his hands, and she saw her brother clearly for the first time. Not the crime lord, not the killer, but the boy who'd lost everything and spent a lifetime trying to find his way back home. I need you to do something for me. Something important. Anything. Survive. Live the life I couldn't. Be the hero our father believed you'd become. His voice cracked. And remember me, not as the monster I became, but as your brother, who loved you, who never stopped looking for you. Tears blurred Mina's vision. Please, there has to be... Jinwoo kissed her forehead. Then he turned to Kangdai. Get her out. Underground tunnel to the subway. She doesn't stop. She doesn't look back. Understood? Yes. Boss. No! Mina struggled, but Kangdai's grip was iron. Jinwoo, please. Her brother smiled. Small, sad, real. The first genuine smile she'd seen from him. See you again, little sister. Then he walked toward the tactical team alone, hands raised, drawing all attention to himself as Kangdai dragged Mina into the darkness of the escape tunnel. The last thing she heard was gunfire. The last thing she felt was her heart breaking into pieces small enough to slip through her fingers. And the last thing she saw, before the tunnel swallowed her whole, was Jinwoo falling, her brother, her blood, her family, crumpling to the concrete as Captain Seo stood over him, weapon smoking. Mina screamed, but the sound was swallowed by darkness and distance and the terrible final truth. She'd found her family only to watch him die. Mina spent 2 weeks in a safe house on the outskirts of Busan, staring at concrete walls and drowning in silence. Kangdai had gotten her out through the tunnels, exactly as Jinwoo ordered, hidden her in a network of safe houses that her brother had built. Contingencies within contingencies, because Park Jinwoo had learned long ago that the world was cruel and preparation was the only prayer that got answered. The news reported his death as a police victory. Notorious crime lord killed in shootout. Captain Seo gave press conferences, his face grave with manufactured sorrow as he spoke about the brave detective who was held hostage, and the tragic loss of life, even criminal life. Mina watched every broadcast with hollow eyes. They'd rewritten the story, made Jinwoo the villain and Seo the hero. And she was too broken to fight back, too shattered to do anything but exist in the spaces between breaths. On the 15th day, Kangdai brought her Jinwoo's personal effects, a box of things he'd kept locked away in his most secure vault. He left instructions, Kangdai said quietly. If anything happened to him, these were to go to you. Inside, Mina found the fragments of a life she'd lost. More family photographs, her mother's jade bracelet, a stuffed rabbit worn soft with age, hers apparently from childhood, and at the bottom a letter in Jinwoo's precise handwriting. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. Seo Yan, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every choice that led us here. Sorry I couldn't be the brother you deserved. Sorry I became the darkness instead of the light. But I'm not sorry I found you. Those 3 days with you were worth everything, worth 15 years of searching, worth the empire I built and the soul I sold. You reminded me who I was before the blood, before the fear. You reminded me that Park Dae-jung's daughter still exists somewhere, even if his son doesn't. There's a USB drive in this box. On it is everything, every piece of evidence against Seo and the Namsan Task Force. Bank records, wire transfers, testimony from witnesses I've kept hidden, and video footage from the night of the Gwangju massacre. I've been collecting it for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. That moment is now. That moment is you. You asked me once what you should do if this happened. The answer is simple. Be the hero our father knew you'd become. Finish what he started. Take down the corruption he died fighting. Use your badge, his badge, your badge, to bring real justice to Seoul. I know you're hurting. I know you're broken. I know you want to give up. But you're a Park. We don't quit. We get back up. Always. Your brother Jinwoo Mina read the letter 3 times, then a fourth. Each word was a blade cutting through her grief, sharp and clean and necessary. She found the USB drive, a small black rectangle that contained the power to destroy Captain Seo's entire empire, to avenge her family, to finish what both her father and brother had died trying to accomplish. But to use it meant returning to Seoul, meant walking back into Seo's territory, risking everything. Meant trusting that Jinwoo's evidence was enough, that the system could be saved, even though it had failed her family twice. Minna stood and walked to the safe house window. Busan sprawled below, a city of strangers, a place where she could disappear forever, change her name, live quietly, survive. That was one choice. The other was harder, bloodier, but it was the only choice that honored the badge around her neck. She thought of her father, Park Da-young, who died fighting corruption. She thought of Jin Woo, who'd spent 15 years searching for her in the darkness. She thought of her adoptive parents, who taught her that justice mattered. And she thought of the girl in the photographs, young Seo Yeon, wearing her badge like a promise, a girl who'd believed in heroes. Minna pressed her palm against the window, against the glass separating her from the world. Her reflection stared back, hollow-eyed, grief-worn, barely recognizable, but still standing. Heroes get back up, she whispered to her reflection, to Jin Woo's ghost, to the girl she used to be, and the woman she needed to become. We don't quit, she turned to Kang Dae. I need you to get me back to Seoul, and I need access to Jin Woo's remaining network. Everyone who's still loyal, everyone who wants Seo gone as much as I do. Kang Dae studied her with eyes that had seen too much death. Then slowly he nodded. The boss said you'd say that. He left instructions for this too. A ghost of a smile crossed his scarred face. He knew his sister better than you knew yourself. He always did, Minna said softly. Then her voice hardened, sharpened into something new and dangerous. Captain Seo thinks I'm broken, thinks I'm hiding, thinks he won. She pulled out her phone, the one Jinwoo had given her, encrypted and untraceable. Opened her contacts to the one number Jinwoo had programmed in, Internal Affairs Division, National Police Agency, the division that investigated police corruption, the one office SEO couldn't fully control. Her finger hovered over the call button. This was it, the moment she chose who she'd become, the detective who hid or the daughter who fought back. Park Seo-yeon took a breath. Detective Kang Min-ah made the call. Internal Affairs. My name is Detective Kang Min-ah, Seoul Metropolitan Police. I have evidence of corruption at the highest levels, and I'm ready to testify. Outside, storm clouds gathered over Busan, but for the first time in 2 weeks, Min-ah felt something other than grief burning in her chest. She felt ready. The interrogation room in the National Police Agency headquarters was cold, sterile, and crawling with witnesses. Internal Affairs had brought everyone, federal prosecutors, independent investigators, even representatives from the Anti-Corruption Commission. They'd learned long ago that police investigating police rarely ended in justice. But this case was different. This case had evidence. Minna sat at the metal table, the USB drive between her and the lead investigator, Director Choi, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen every lie the world could offer. Before we begin, Director Choi said carefully, you understand the implications of what you're alleging? Captain Seo has 3 decades of exemplary service. Accusations of this magnitude will be proven with facts. Minna's voice was steady. She'd cried herself empty in Busan. Now there was only purpose. Everything is on that drive. 15 years of evidence collected by Park Jinwoo, bank transfers, witness testimony, and video footage from the Gwangju massacre. She slid the drive across the table. My family's murder, ordered and executed by the Namsan Task Force, led by Captain Seo. Director Choi's expression remained neutral, but Minna saw the flicker of something, belief perhaps, or hope that justice might actually be possible. She inserted the drive into her laptop. The room fell silent as the evidence unfolded. Financial records showing millions in bribes flowing to SEO and his team. Witness statements from victims too terrified to come forward while CO held power. Communications between SEO and syndicate bosses, coordinating operations, eliminating threats. And then, the video. 15-year-old security footage from a neighboring building, grainy but unmistakable. The Park family home. Tactical teams entering, not in police uniforms but in black gear, faces covered. The sounds of gunfire. A young girl, Seo Yeon, fleeing through a back window, a badge clutched in her small hand. And there, directing the operation from the street, was a younger Captain Seo, speaking into a radio with calm authority as a family was slaughtered inside. The room remained frozen in horrified silence as the video ended. Director Choi's hands were shaking. My God! He tried to kill me 3 weeks ago, Mina continued, her voice cutting through the shock. When I started investigating Cheon Sapa connections. He sent me into an ambush, expecting me to die. When Jinwoo saved me instead, when Seo realized I'd learned the truth, her voice caught, but she forced it steady. He executed my brother in cold blood and called it justice. Detective Kang. My name is Park Seo-yeon, she said clearly, daughter of Park Dae-jung, sister of Park Jin-woo, and the last surviving witness to the Gwangju massacre. I'm here to finish what my father started. Director Choi made a decision. Mina could see it crystallize in the woman's expression, the choice to believe, to fight, to risk her career for the truth. We'll need you to testify formally, in front of a grand jury, with Captain Seo present. Mina's pulse quickened. When? Tomorrow. I'll arrange protection. Full security detail. SEO won't. The door burst open. 3 of Director Choi's agents stumbled through, hands raised. Behind them, Captain Seo entered with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, and a gun that did. I'm afraid Detective Kang won't be testifying tomorrow, Seo said calmly, or ever. He must have had people inside internal affairs, must have been alerted the moment Mina made contact. Of course he did. Corruption was a web, and Seo had spent 30 years spinning it. Director Choi stood slowly. Captain, you're making this worse. There are witnesses. Who will report that a traumatized detective, suffering from Stockholm Syndrome after her kidnapping, attacked me during a mental health crisis? SEO's gun never wavered from Mina's chest. Tragic. But these things happen. The stress of the job, the psychological damage from her abduction. His eyes hardened. The Park family has always been unstable. Mina's hand moved slowly to her side, not for a weapon, but for the badge at her belt. Her father's badge. Her badge. The symbol of everything she'd lost and everything she was fighting to reclaim. You know what's funny? She said quietly, standing to face him. Jin-woo spent 15 years becoming a monster to find me, building an empire of blood and fear. And you know what he told me before he died? Seo's finger tensed on the trigger. He told me to be the hero our father believed I'd become, to use this badge the way it was meant to be used. Mina's voice grew stronger, not as a weapon for corrupt men like you, but as a symbol of justice, of truth, of the promise that good people don't quit, even when the world is dark. Touching, Seo sneered. Your father said similar things before I put a bullet in his head. Didn't save him either. No, Mina agreed. But this will. She pressed a button on her phone, the one Kang Dae had modified, the one that had been streaming everything to a secure server since she'd entered the building. Broadcasting live to every news outlet in Seoul, every independent journalist Jin-woo had cultivated over the years, every corner of the internet that Seo's corruption couldn't touch. You've been live for the past 20 minutes, Captain. Every word, every confession, every threat. Mina's smile was sharp as broken glass. Seoul is watching, Korea is watching, and you can't kill all of us. Seo's face drained of color. He glanced at his phone, already lighting up with notifications, calls, alerts, his empire crumbling in real time. You learned from my brother, Mina finished. He taught me that sometimes to defeat monsters, you have to think like one, but you don't have to become one. She unclipped her badge, held it up to the light. This is Park Dae-jung's legacy. This is what you tried to bury. This is what survives you. Director Choi's agents moved simultaneously, drawing weapons, surrounding Seo. Outside, sirens wailed, federal units responding, untainted by Seo's corruption, coming to secure the evidence and the man who'd evaded justice for 15 years. Seo looked at Minna with something like respect, something like hatred. You're just like your father and your brother, too stubborn to know when you've lost. No, Minna said softly. We're stubborn enough to know we never lose. We just get back up. Federal agents stormed the room. SEO was forced to his knees, his weapon taken, his hands cuffed. He didn't resist. The fight had gone out of him. The fight always left men like him once the shadows couldn't hide them anymore. As they dragged him away, Seo looked back once. Your brother died for nothing. Minna met his eyes without flinching. My brother died so I could do this. That's not nothing. That's everything. The door closed. Seo was gone, and Minna stood in the fluorescent light of justice finally, impossibly served, her badge warm in her palm, and her brother's ghost finally at peace. Director Choi approached carefully. Detective Park, are you all right? Minna looked at the badge, at her reflection in its polished surface. And for the first time since Jin-woo had died in that garage, she felt something other than grief. She felt whole. Yes, she said quietly. I think I finally am. 6 months later, Minna stood at her brother's grave on a hillside overlooking Seoul. The headstone was simple, elegant, just his name and dates, no mention of crimes or empires. She'd fought for that, fought to have him buried beside their parents in the family plot that had been sealed for 15 years. Some bureaucrat had argued that criminals didn't deserve to rest with their victims, but Minna had stood in that office and said 5 words that ended the debate. He was still my brother. The trial had been a media firestorm. Captain Seo and 17 members of the Namsan task force were convicted on charges ranging from murder to racketeering. The commissioner resigned. 3 politicians fell. The rot that had infected Seoul's police force for decades was finally being cut out, piece by painful piece. Minna had testified for 6 days straight, reliving the worst moments of her life in front of cameras and crowds. But she'd done it, finished what her father started, given Jin-woo's sacrifice meaning. The Seoul Metropolitan Police offered her a promotion, a commendation, a fresh start in any department she wanted. She declined. Instead, she transferred to the newly formed Anti-Corruption Task Force, the one built from the ashes of Seo's betrayal, designed to ensure this never happened again. She wore her father's badge every day, polished it every night, a reminder of who she'd been, who she'd lost, and who she'd become. I brought someone to meet you, Minna said softly to the headstone, settling onto the grass. She pulled out the old family photograph, the one of young Seo-yeon and teenage Jin-woo in the dojang, mid-sparring match, both smiling. She'd had it restored, framed. It sat on her desk now next to a photo of her adoptive parents. 2 families, 2 lives, both real, both hers. I remembered more, she continued, her voice catching. Little things. The way you'd let me win sometimes, then pretend you hadn't. How you taught me to make mom's kimchi jjigae. The promise you made, that you'd always protect me, no matter what. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but they were different now. Not the hollow grief of Busan, but something cleaner. Sadness mixed with gratitude. Loss mixed with love. You kept that promise, even when it cost you everything. Even when it made you into something you hated. She pressed her palm against the cool stone. I need you to know, I don't remember you as the monster. I remember you as my brother, as the boy who taught me that heroes get back up, that we don't quit. The wind carried cherry blossoms across the hillside, pink petals dancing like hope made visible. I'm getting back up, Jin-woo. Every day. I'm being the hero you believed I could be, the one Dad knew I'd become. Her voice strengthened. I'm cleaning up Seoul, making it safer, making it the city our family dreamed it could be. She stood, brushing grass from her jeans. Before leaving, she placed something at the base of his headstone, a small jade pendant shaped like a guardian angel. She'd found it in Jin-woo's personal effects, realized he'd worn it every day beneath his expensive suits. Protection, hope, family. Until we meet again, Appa, she whispered. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me enough to let me go. Minna walked down the hillside toward her car, where Kang Dae waited. Jinwoo's former second-in-command had turned witness for the prosecution, helped dismantle what remained of Cheonsa Pa's criminal operations. Now he worked private security, helping Minna protect witnesses who were brave enough to testify against corruption. Redemption came in strange forms. "You good, detective?" Kang Dae asked as she approached. Minna looked back once at the grave, at the city sprawling beyond it. Seoul was healing. She was healing. The scars would always remain, both the physical one on her shoulder and the invisible ones in her heart. But scars were proof of survival, proof that you'd fought and won, even when winning looked like loss. "Yeah," she said, and meant it. "I'm good." Her phone buzzed. A new case. Another corruption investigation. Another chance to honor her father's legacy and her brother's sacrifice. Another opportunity to prove that the badge she wore meant something. Minna climbed into the car, clipping the badge to her belt where it belonged. The afternoon sun caught the silver, making it shine like a promise kept, like hope, like home. As they drove toward Seoul's heart, toward whatever justice waited in the city's shadows, Detective Park Seo-yeon, daughter, sister survivor, smiled. She'd found her family, lost them, found herself, and in the end, that was enough. The story of the Park family wasn't one of tragedy. It was one of love that survived death, truth that outlasted lies, and heroes who always got back up. If this story touched you, like and subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. Drop A in the comments for Jinwoo and let us know. Would you have made the same choices as Minna? We read every comment, and your stories inspire ours. Thank you for being part of our global family.